Thank you. Thank you, Clarissa. And so I invite you to bring your attention to your heart space, that place where God resides, that place where love is, that place where my heart lives in your heart, and your heart lives in my heart, and our heart is one with the divine. For we know we are not separate. Even when we are feeling the most lonely, we know that it's only an opportunity for us to reach out and reach in. For reaching out and reaching in is the way. We know that is the way. And so, as we bring our attention back to this heart place, that heart space, I invite you to breathe in and breathe out. Breathing in love, breathing out love. Breathing in peace of mind, breathing out peace of mind. Feel your breath. Feel your breath. And so, as we begin this time together, what I know for sure is that we are here for the purpose of serving the one, each one of us as the one, serving the one. Keeping in mind, there is no separation. Knowing this to be the truth, I release my word into the law with deep, abiding gratitude, knowing it cannot come back to me void, for it is done, it is complete, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Joylyn. Thank you, everyone, for participating in that. So hello, I am practitioner Clarissa Crow, and Amani is not here this evening. She is actually under the weather, so let's please all send some love and healing energy to Reverend Amani. So she asked Jeffrey and I, my husband Jeffrey McNutt, fellow practitioner, to fill in for her this evening. So again, I'm glad everyone is here. And so as February comes to an end, we are closing out our series on God as love. As I said before, the talk this evening is called The Love That They Are. They, meaning anyone outside of ourselves, especially someone that we might perceive as other or separate from us. So the idea, or the goal, or I guess the question we ask ourselves is, how do I include everyone in my heart of love, no exceptions? So that's a big ask. Yeah, some of you might be thinking, well, that's impossible, Clarissa. I can't do that. I mean, I'm only human. I'm not capable of loving the way that God does. And if that's what you're thinking, I would just say that actually, yes, you can. And yes, you are capable, because you're not only human, you're also divine. And everything that God is made of, you are also made of. You contain all of that, just on a smaller scale, right? You are made of God, so you are made of love. So this series was called God as Love. And we know that God is love. The God as love piece is about us and how we bring that capital L love onto the planet, right? We're the way that that love gets to show up. God as me, God as you, God as the love that we bring. So this capital L love that we're talking about is, of course, God love. It's infinite love, unconditional love, what Valerie Kaur calls revolutionary love. And Valerie Kaur, for anyone who may have not heard of her, be familiar with her work. She's amazing. You should definitely check her out if you haven't. I adore her. She's an author and an activist, and she wrote a book called See No Stranger, and she's the leader of a movement called Revolutionary Love, which I feel aligns so beautifully with our movement, with the global movement of Centers for Spiritual Living, which is creating a world that works for everyone, as in every single one. And yeah, so that like sounds great, you know, until you start thinking about those people that you really wish weren't involved, you know, or like even that person that I really, really don't like. And the answer is yes. And I'm not saying that you have to actually like them, but we've got to include them in the love, right? Everybody must be included and invited to board the love train that is carrying us into the new humanity. All right, you ready? I'm gonna go there. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, woo! People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, love train. Okay, I'm sorry, I just couldn't resist. But in all seriousness, it's gotta be all of us. It's gotta be all of us, because if I exclude you, I'm excluding me, because we all make up the wholeness that is the body of God. Even the folks that we want to judge as bad or wrong, you know, even the people that we consider adversaries or opponents. We gotta choose love. We must choose love. Why? Because love, we know love is the only true power. Love is the only true spiritual teaching. Love is the only real solution. So Valerie Kaur offers a practice that for loving those people we might perceive as other. And it goes like this. So if you see someone who you might tend to want to judge, or who you see as separate from yourself, you just say to them in your mind, brother, sister, mother, daughter, uncle, you are a part of me I don't yet know. And I love that. I love this practice, and I do it all the time. It's a really beautiful way of practicing what Jesus taught about loving your neighbor as yourself. But what about when we haven't fully learned how to love and accept ourselves? That's, so we're coming back around to self-love again, because self-love really is that foundation for all of this work that we do of bringing love into fuller manifestation on the planet. It's like, how useful is it really for me to say, brother, you are a part of me I don't yet know, if I'm still unwilling to love parts of myself that I do know. So I created and taught a class here at the center many years ago that was called the Self-Love Express. And the ad said, all aboard the Self-Love Express. So there's that train metaphor again. that love train I was just talking about, that we all ride together in order to evolve our species. It has a connecting line, which is the Self-Love Express. And, you know, loving myself is an intention that is so much bigger than just my desire for my own joy and my own peace of mind. Like, learning to love myself more is so that I can love you more, so that I can actually be that place that love is showing up on the planet, so that I can leave the world a more loving place than I found it. And I just know in my heart that's what I'm here to do. I really believe that is what we're here to do. That's the work. So Reverend Amani gave us a really cool practice that we're going to do together a little bit later in the service relating to that. But for now, I'm going to pass it over to my beloved Jeffrey. He's going to talk a little bit more about how we can commit to better behaviors while continuing this journey of transforming our hearts. It's even if the shift hasn't happened in my heart yet, I can still make choices with my words and my actions that align with those principles. So,
all right, greetings. So, a little review time. the way we're organized here, where we do these monthly topics, and as Clarissa alluded to, we've been looking at this concept of all of the different aspects of how God shows up as love. 3 or 4 weeks ago, Amani went through this beautiful time with us around self-love, and how do you take care of yourself, and how do we actually commit the time that it takes to really love ourselves. Then you had the wonderful Miss Joy Lynn, who took you on a Valentine's special, and you were able to share love for each other, which is the next aspect of the way that God shows up as love, and sharing that ability to bring forward the love that you cultivate in your self-care practice, and share it with those close in. But tonight, we're going to go to the harder part, which is the they. Who are the they? How do we love the they? And I love, I think there's a misconception in New Thought, or at least a stick point in New Thought, when we talk about this concept of creating a world that works for everyone. Everyone, and then the normal thing in classes of, what about the people, what about the murderers, and what about the rapists, and how do we love them, and how do they fit into this world that works for everyone? I loved last Sunday's talk, what the Imam had to say about this topic, and he was very adamant of it's okay, you have permission to push away thoughts, push away behaviors, push away even people who are not in what he called his envelope of love. And that is not excluding. So I wanted to read a quote from Martin Luther King. This was back in 1963. I just celebrated my 60th birthday. I was born in 1963. So, and these words, as I read them, they're just as relevant today. And it underscores my point that the need for a place for the they that would cause us harm is a necessary part of creating that world that works for everyone. You'll get the idea as I read this quote. Now, the other myth that gets around is the idea that legislation cannot really solve the problem, and that it has no great role to play in this period of social change, because you've got to change the heart, and you can't change the heart through legislation. You can't legislate morals. The job must be done through education and religion. Well, there's a half-truth involved here. Certainly, if the problem is to be solved, when in the final sense, hearts must be changed. Religion and education must play a great role in changing the heart. But we must go on to say that while it may be true that morality cannot be legislated, behavior can be regulated. It may be true that the law cannot change the heart, but it can restrain the heartless. It may be true that the law cannot make a man love me, but it can keep him from lynching me. And I think that's pretty important also. So there is a need for executive orders, there is a need for judicial decrees, there's a need for civil rights legislation on the local scale within states and on the national scale from the federal government. So 60 years ago, that was what was on Martin Luther King's mind as he was leading this civil rights movement, that he needed help. He needed a place for the they that were operating within the absence of love. So it's okay. It's okay that we have institutions, and it's okay that we have jails and laws that protect us from the they that would cause us harm. And in those places, we can debate for a long time whether the correctional institutions in this country are run well. Probably no debate. But there are also just as many stories. If you follow the life of Pema Chodron, Pema Chodron has a dear, dear friend, Jarvis Landry, who is incarcerated for life. And he was already in prison, and he was convicted of another crime, which he maintains his innocence of. But he's worked for, I would say, close to 3 decades now with Pema Chodron on his self-love practice within within prison. Noah Levine is another person. He's the son of Philip Levine, and he was having a difficult time finding that inner love, and it was through institutions that saved his life, jail and the work that was done there. So I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's the first aspect of the theyness. There is this group of they that we can still, my point is here, that we can still send love, but it's okay that they are outside of our sphere of the way that we share love with each other. So that brings me to the greater work at hand. How do we love the people in our sphere of influence that are just plain difficult to love? And that changes over time. So I want us, the best way for me to do this is really just to give you an example. And if you've been listening to Spirit Callings, I did this week, and I shared a couple times about my mom. And not too long ago, my mom became a they. I pushed her away, and she became a they. She was very difficult for me to love, and it was during the period of the last presidential administration. And we weren't seeing eye to eye. And it really was troubling me because my mom doesn't have a mean bone in her body, and she is probably for me one of the greatest examples of love. But there I was, pushing her away. So the other thing that I took out of the imam's talk last week, and it reminded me of this process that I went through with my mom, is this push-pull nature of how we bring forward love and push away evil, as the imam would say, or badness. So I want to hit you with 3 questions, and hopefully you can join in with Clarissa and Joylyn and I and help to fill in this void that is here since Amani's not here. I need your help, and I need some participation around this concept of they. So the questions are, who have you othered? Who is the they in your world? And what is it that separates them from you? So to wrap my part up, I just want to circle back to this progression that we've been on for this month and hopefully plant a seed within you of this concept of your personal practice around cultivating more love into your life. We started remembering that the purpose of meditation, as Amani taught us, was clearing, was to become centered. I'm sorry, meditation is the clearing. It's to clear your mind, like we just did right now, opening that channel. And that the purpose of prayer, of your prayer practice, is for centering around a specific, around your life, what's going on in your life. And now we're moving into the purpose of transformation, which is that externalizing of this and spreading more love, which is what we're here to do together. So, and that's the capital L love that Clarissa was talking about earlier, that Amani has spoken of as well. So, I'm going to ask a few more questions of you, then I'm going to pass the mic back over to Clarissa, and she's going to share a little bit about her agreements, her personal agreements that she's working on. So, what in your heart has yet to change around this topic of theyness? Like Jerry was talking about. She goes, I don't know what the answer is. So what is it that's stuck in your heart? And what agreements might you make with yourself to change your behavior while you are in the process of transforming your own heart? So back to Clarissa.
Thank you, Jeffrey, my love. Capital L, this means love, not loser, okay, just so you know. So, I will share one example of an agreement that I've made with myself, and these are the kind of things I have to recommit to, you know, I don't just like set the intention one time and then I'm just perfect at it, but so what we're talking about with this, even if that shift hasn't happened in my heart, I have conscious choice around the words that I say, the actions that I do. And it often happens kind of in reverse, and this is something I learned in my recovery fellowship. Like, we often say we can't think our way into better behavior. We have to actually act our way into better thinking. And so sometimes it starts with the action, like with self-love. Sometimes just doing the actions of self-care leads to the feelings of self-love, even if they're not there to begin with. So one practice, or one agreement that I made with myself is being really mindful of how I speak to other people, and even more how I speak about other people. So just like observing negative self-talk, I really try to be aware of if I'm speaking negatively about another person, and catch that and decide to speak positive words instead. And I found this really beautiful reading is in this Egyptian oracle deck called Amenti. And I love the way that this was worded. It said, "Positive words tickle the heart and illuminate the aura. Compliments are constructive and kindness is contagious. How you speak to others will be mirrored back in how others speak to you. And how you speak of others will echo through the ripples of time and the shape of things to come." I just loved that, and I think it speaks so beautifully to just how powerful our words are. Our thoughts are powerful, but our words are so powerful. And so just being mindful, even if I'm still going like, I really don't like this person, I'm gonna do like my mom. Where's my mom? My mom is so good at like looking for the good and always like wanting to speak the positive things and not the negative things about people, and that's really something that I work to emulate. So, does anyone have anything else they'd like to share before our final practice of agreements that you've maybe made or might like to make around behavior, loving behavior? You can just shout it out. You don't have to come up. Okay. Well, I'll move us into this final practice, which Reverend Amani adapted from Sonia Renee Taylor, and this is a self-love thing for getting closer to loving the things that we find unlovable about ourselves, okay? And this is something that she's inviting us to do throughout the week at home, but I thought we'd take a minute and just do this practice now together. So let's take another deep breath. And I want you to just think of one thing about yourself that you currently find unlovable. And if multiple things come up, just choose one. You'll have a chance to practice this all week, so just choose one to work with for right now. I'll give you a minute to settle on that. All right. So that word may be something that you label yourself to be, or something that you tend to judge that you do. That's going to go in the blank here, okay? And so the way it goes is we're going to just say these words silently to ourselves. Even if I am, or even if I do, blank, I am lovable. I give grace to myself right now, even when I'm blank. I love the me that finds blank unlovable. So I'm going to go through it again, and I'll fill in the blank with an example. And you can just replace, I'm going to use the word lazy, okay? But you can just fill in the blank with whatever your word is. Even if I'm lazy, I am lovable. I give grace to myself right now, even when I'm lazy. And I love the me that finds laziness unlovable. So just take another deep breath and then notice what happens in your body as you speak words like that. Just listen to how that feels. So this is a practice that you can take with you into the week. What it really says is to write down all the things you can think of and to place them on your altar or in like a lovely little container. And then every day pull them out and one at a time say them with those affirmations. And I'm going to remind everybody of this in tomorrow's Spirit Call for anyone who gets Spirit Calling. I'm also going to make sure to post it on our ABQCSL Facebook group, so for reference. And yeah, so I love you guys so much. I wish you all a beautiful week of connecting to that love of yourself and that love of that God love, that love for all. And I'm going to invite Jeffrey to pray us out.
So close your eyes if you're willing and feel your feet planted firmly on the ground. And I recognize the perfect power and magnificence of the One. And if I had any doubt of my ability to do that on my own, it is in this space with these people that I see my perfection mirrored back to me. And I see my perfection mirrored back to me. My heart goes out to anyone in my life that I've considered they, knowing that their theyness is only my inability to see their perfect expression of the One. And so I rest in the knowing that Spirit is moving through me and working with my heart in that beautiful dance, that beautiful push-pull of pushing away anything that is in my way of loving that they and pulling toward me that capital L love and that capital T truth. And so in that beautiful gesture of breathing in and breathing out, I just let it all be with a little laugh of gratitude, knowing that I can't get it wrong. For even in the times where I felt separate, Spirit delivers me back to the people that I love through a random phone call and an unexpected check-in. All is truly well, and I'm grateful. And I release it, and I let it be, and so it is.
There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all by myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say you're discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free. I'm only here for God. I release, and I let God, let my Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yeah, and I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more faith. Yeah, with my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. I am only here Thank you for having me today. Food for the soul. We have another song by Ricky Byers called Use Me. God was the Son, God is the Son, but God's so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine. Command my hands, command my hands.